This would be a lot better if I knew how to cut it up. You're going to find onions in most recipes that you're working on. It is one of the major components of a mirepoix. That's a classical culinary term for a mixture of onions, celery, and carrots. It's really the base of most stocks and sauces. You know, obviously you're not some clown who's just going to take a big bite out of an onion and eat it whole. Only an idiot would really do that. But we're going to dice them first, okay? So, like a lot of round vegetables, I like to start by taking off the top, and then I just trim off a little bit of the bottom, okay? I don't try to peel it until I've already done that, and then I cut it in half. Then you're able to kind of get in there, pull the first couple layers off. A lot of people ask, how much should I take off? And I've heard all kinds of things, like go until like you get that really like kind of translucent skin or whatnot. Don't worry about that. If you've got like a couple crappy layers, make sure that they're gone. If you only peel off a little bit of the outside skin and the rest looks fine, that's okay too. There's no real rule to it. I really like to use a nakiri when I'm chopping a large quantity of onions. I think it's a really good tool for it. The whole blade touches the cutting board at the same time. You're not going to get any of those little stuck together bits at the end. What you want to do, I'm kind of pointing the root end away from me, and I'm going to cut into the onion most of the way through, but not the whole way. Okay, let the knife do the work. I'm not just pushing straight down. That's clunky and no fun. We're gonna pull it back a little bit and let the knife work it. Once you get all those kind of cuts through, the slices through, you'll see that the root is still holding it together, and then you're able to put in a little, one or two of these, I guess they're parallel to the cutting board. If you're not confident, don't do that. You're going to cut your fingers, you're going to get mad, you're going to send an email to Kevin, you're going to tell on me because I gave you bad advice, and that's not very nice of you. So, once you've done that, now we can go ahead and dice it. So I'm just cutting against those first cuts that we made, and then everything comes apart nice and even. You can probably get a little more out of that. Maybe put a couple little cuts on that side. Boom, boom, boom. Don't want to let anything go to waste. Here we go. And now, maybe I'd do that in real time. A lot of people ask, what are some tips for not crying when you're cutting onions? Make sure your knife is sharp. That's probably the best advice I can give you. Second place would be put your onions in the fridge beforehand. Cold onions don't tend to make you cry as much. Really, really fresh onions from the farmer's market, they tend to be pretty nasty culprits of that. Shallots, sometimes green onions and chives make me cry. It just really depends on the vegetable. I'm crying a little bit here now. But there we got our diced onions. That'd be really good if you're making a risotto or your, spaghetti sauce, anything like that. Now let's say you wanted to do something for, like a French onion soup, and you need to do a lot of these. It's a little bit easier though, so don't worry too much. Start off top and tail, cut it in half, peel it. Now instead of leaving that root on there, I usually just cut at a small angle and snip that root out. The root isn't really the easiest thing to digest, I guess. It's like the skin. It's not going to hurt you, but it's better if it's not there. Now what we're going to do is kind of do what's called, sometimes it's called a radial cut. I just call it slicing it. I don't get too fancy. But we're going to cut from top to bottom. I don't like cutting them this way. I find when you cook them down, they get really stringy. They break apart too much. They keep their structure better if you cut them kind of from top to bottom. And following the arc of the onion, you'll get to a point where it gets a little unsteady, tip it over, and do it again. There we go. So now that's really good for your French onion soup, your hot dogs, whatever you want. Take your time, practice. If you're not confident doing those first couple cuts, skip those. It'll just be a little less even. It's not the end of the world. It all ends up in the same place anyways. give us a shout if you need a hand. hello@knifewear.com. Check out the website, knifewear.com. If you have any questions, you know where to get us. And if you excuse me, I'm going to try and find a breath mint.